So the first thing we need to do is to identify the leak. Where are people falling out? If we think of our funnel as a physical funnel and it had holes within it, as we pour water into the top of the funnel, if we had holes, water would pour out, it would fall out. It's more important to us to plug those leaks, and that's what we call closing the loop, with things like remarketing and activities like remarketing, rather than just trying to fill it up with more water. We need to be able to identify where people are falling out of the process. Hey there, funnel builders. Mike Killen here from Sell Your Service. If you are a funnel builder, go ahead and click subscribe, because I produce new videos like this every single week, helping funnel builders like you sell more marketing funnels. Who is closest to crossing the finish line? I believe that it's easier to get someone who is closest to cross the finish line rather than people who are furthest away, which might sound obvious, but I think a lot of people believe that the largest gain, the largest distance covered, is the goal, and it's not. For example, if you have someone who is 10 meters away from the line and someone who is 1 meter away from the line, most people will try and get the person who is 10 meters closest to the line to get even closer, because that would be a gain of 9-10 meters. Whereas someone who is a meter away, there's almost an implied assumption that they're so close anyway, won't they convert at some point, anyway, out of their own volition? It's also considerably cheaper, all things being equal, to get someone who is closest to the finish line over the line. And when we talk about this in terms of conversions, I believe most people look at remarketing and they think, if I've got a group of people, 1,000 of which haven't been shown the contact form or the sales page or the landing page or the squeeze page or whatever, but I've got 10 people who have been to that page and haven't converted, most people will look to the larger audience and think, if they haven't seen it, showing them that is the biggest gain. When in actual fact, getting someone over the line and showing it just to 10, Facebook allows you to advertise to 20 people a month. That's how small the audience size can be. Actually, even that's not strictly true. I think it's 20 people over 180 days, if I remember correctly. And yeah, the conversion, it looks like, well, you've already done so much work. You've tried to get them there in the first place. Maybe they've got there because of Google or their own volition, or you emailed them. And it's a bit like, oh my God, am I really going to have to spend more money on getting them to convert even though they've been on the page? Surely that's just someone who hasn't converted. And that's not the case. We've often talked about the fortune is in the follow-up. You absolutely should be focusing on people who are closest to the finish line. Of course, down the line, we can look at advertising to people who haven't seen the offer, but I would much rather interact and spend money on converting someone who has seen the offer and is more likely to convert, rather than trying to convert more people a bigger distance. So what we need to do is identify a group of people who are closest to crossing that finish line. And it's far more simple than you might think. If you have 100 people visiting your sales pages, it's a pretty good indicator that those people are closer to buying. People who have already been on a sales page clearly have seen some reason to click through. They've taken some level of interest to click through. So therefore, well, why wouldn't we just focus on them? And that's what we're going to be working on, identifying a group of people who are closest to making that conversion. Yes, the audience size might be smaller, and it might be tempting to think, yeah, but if I advertise to 1,000 people, possibly it actually works out cheaper, but potentially for essentially the same amount, then isn't it more likely that those will convert? What we're doing here is, first of all, we're identifying individual kind of campaigns that we can run to a group of people. So we could run this one-off, or we could run this over a month or whatever, and we can run it to people who have just done the action. But also in future, any further people who land on that page by their own volition and who get there through other means and other activities, we're going to close that loop. We now know that in the future, every single time someone lands on our contact page or a sales page or a checkout page or whatever that next action is, they're going to see an advert. So we're going to close the loop. This means that when we do begin to attract more traffic and we do begin to scale our business, particularly as funnel businesses, as service-based businesses, that we're actually making our budgets more effective in the future.
Thank you very much for watching. Massively appreciate it. Make sure to hit subscribe and the bell icon and all that kind of stuff. See you on the next video. Have courage, commit, and take action.